So the first question that we have is, what is the importance, in your opinion, of LinkedIn in an employer branding strategy?
Well, that's a good question to start out with, because LinkedIn does play a big role when it comes to employer branding, only because of the fact that you have a LinkedIn company page, which kind of acts like an office building, but virtual. People can link their personal profiles to the company page. So it actually allows people within the company to follow their own company page. It's like having a badge, and to share the content that they have. The second part of having LinkedIn as a employer branding page is that when you look at LinkedIn over the last few months, even year, LinkedIn has added a bunch of functionality that will make your company page come to life when it comes to employer branding. And I'm talking about, for example, the work button that you can fill or complete on your company page, which tells you what kind of company you are. Are you a hybrid? Are you an in-office? Are you a remote type of company? So you can already provide potential candidates and also employees what type of an environment you have. Second of all is there is a new button that says commitments. So what kind of CSR do you do? What's the work-life balance practices that you have in place? So all of that is part of an employer brand everywhere else. So it has been integrated into the LinkedIn company page to make that page your employer branding page. And finally, LinkedIn also has, with the company page, the possibility to post content. And that is a company approved content, which then again can reflect the culture, whatever is happening in the company, but can also be shared through ambassador programs or through LinkedIn itself in the network of the employees. And you carry out, as employees, you carry out the employer branding that you want to give to the world. So your LinkedIn company page plays a big role in the whole employer branding scheme of things.
Mm-hmm. And I guess you just answered to our next question, but do you have any more suggestions as to where are like best practices then for companies, since you talked about company pages, we're trying to work on their employer brand when it comes to LinkedIn content?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first part is a lot of companies that I still see today have a company page that is not completed. They have not discovered the work button or the workplace button. They have not discovered the commitments button. They've not discovered the open for new talent or the interested talent button. They haven't discovered a lot of the things which LinkedIn kind of like rolled out in the course of the year and really didn't tell anybody about it. And it just kind of grew and grew. So the first step to good employer branding is take another look at your company page and complete the places that you didn't know about and make those optimal for your target audience as part of, for example, your recruitment and your employer branding. The second part is, of course, regular posting. I mean, I see a lot of pages where there's nothing posted, or there is no consistency in the posting. So people or companies are not sharing content that is there. So again, if there's no content, employees won't be able to share it. I mean, there is in the course of again, it's something that slipped into the company page, but LinkedIn also has a employee advocacy button on the company page where you can see which employees have actually shared company approved content. Which brings me to the last point is employees, or you can have employees contribute, and that's a best practice, to your company page content, which then makes it more personal. And finally, and this is something new that LinkedIn is coming up with in the next, let's say the next couple of months in terms of rolling it out to everybody, is the possibility to take employee created posts and promote them as thought leadership posts on the company page. And that opens nice big avenues for employer branding.
Yeah, indeed. And so, like, what are the ways that LinkedIn itself actually can support the companies in like this employee-centered employer branding strategy then?
Well, LinkedIn as a company is unfortunately not, they're providing the functionality, but they're not communicating as much as I would like them to communicate, and companies would like to communicate, have them communicate about it. But it is, by offering that functionality, LinkedIn is supporting companies and making company profiles actually more valuable on LinkedIn. Because in the past, they were just like, okay, you connect to your company page, you be a member and a follower of the page, and that's about it. Now, LinkedIn is slowly building up a company page to become a full profile. One of the things that LinkedIn is adding is the ability to send messages, send and receive messages on your company page. So you don't have to send the personal message anymore. So it's a statement by LinkedIn that company pages are becoming more and more important. And they're trying to close the gap with some other platforms in terms of the usability of a LinkedIn company page. Now, there is still a lot of work to be done. Part of the work is that the posts that are on the company pages need to get more visibility in the home feed of people. But that's a matter of time, and that's a matter of content that is in there that will make sure that employees and other people, followers, will see the content of the company page. But other than that, LinkedIn isn't going to offer anything special other than maybe, like I said, the employee advocacy and the possibility to take or create suggested content from employees that employees can share because it's already on the company page.
Yeah, that's actually a great function. And do you think if like there are like some extra challenges for like hybrid companies like Ambassify is and how they like for employer branding, and how can they overcome these challenges if there are any?
Well, I think whether it's hybrid or whether it's in everybody in the company, I think the cultural thing needs to be carried over through some of the things that we mentioned, the workplace and the commitments. But I think we've pretty much learned to work in a hybrid mode, so that a lot of the limitations of hybrid or working remote have actually disappeared. Because I remember before COVID, and when I was also working for another company, we had people working remote. It was difficult to get them to come to the company. And actually, by the fact of COVID, the positive effect is that we kind of learned to share our culture and work from a remote place. So I think it's actually gotten simpler in a hybrid company today, because people know more or less how their culture transfers into the real world versus the online world, and how that combines. So I think that there's fewer challenges, except for the people who work fully remote, and that, of course, but those will always remain the same. Then it's a matter of providing the right content, providing the right communication, and providing a two-way communication. Let those people who are working remote contribute to content for your company page. And obviously, they will be drawn into the whole employer branding scheme of things.
And what do you think it would be the best way to have these people contribute more to the company page?
Well, the answer is really simple. Ask them. But I mean, oftentimes, no, but oftentimes when I suggest ask your people to contribute to company page content or to any content really, oftentimes that question is never asked. How that content gets to you, that's a different matter. But I think very few times people contribute. And then I think the idea should be, and this is another pitfall that's there, is once people start contributing, that content needs to be in one shape or form used in the overall set of content. Because what I find is that people contribute and say, okay, I mean, the way that I normally see it happen in a company is somebody makes a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or even a LinkedIn group, doesn't really make any difference. And people start sharing content in that unique group. And nobody picks that content up. It's never used, which then leads to pure disappointment. And people say, well, if you're not going to use our content, why should we contribute? So I'm sure, I mean, you have more options using the Ambassify program in terms of getting people to contribute, which is also a way of doing this. But the fact is, let's ask people to contribute. But the most important part is the two last parts, which is use that content. And number two is report back to them what is it actually delivered. Share the results of what their content has achieved in number of views, number of engagements, number of demos, number of whatever the KPIs that you can use. But oftentimes that last step is also forgotten because it gets lost in the daily statistics. But helping your ambassadors, because they are your ambassadors, they create content, give them the feedback they deserve, which is, we've used your content, we've had X views, we had X engagements. Like I said, it doesn't matter what the KPIs you use, but report back to how their efforts are stimulating what's happening on the company page.
Yeah, makes sense. What do you think is the added value of having employees actually sharing or resharing content for the company page, and so having more interactions with the company page itself?
Okay. Well, now, one of the big challenges that a lot of companies face today is that they post content on their company page that is not amplified, is not liked, is not shared in any shape or form, because it's too far away from the employees' what's in it for me factor. So if you have employees contributing to your company page, the value for the employee is they get showcased on the company page. So they get visibility and appreciation that their content is good enough to be featured on the company page. The company page benefits for one simple reason, is that it puts a face on your company. It humanizes a company page. You're no longer looking at a logo, but you're looking at a post from somebody with a name and a function and whatever in your organization. So the company page also wins. So it makes the company page more human. It allows the employee to be featured. And finally, when you see people or posts from people, we all know that it's simpler and easier. And we like to engage with other people and not with logos. So again, people get engaged on that, and it makes a huge difference for both the employee and the company page. So I think that value is when employees contribute to the company page. On the other hand, when employees start sharing content about their company, whether it's a repost, whether it's a repost with thoughts, or even when they create their own post but about the company, again, it gives visibility for the employee, and it shows their commitment and their level of ambassadorship towards the company. So again, it builds up a strong employer brand, because if I'm going to be sharing company information from my company, means I feel good at my company, so I want to share that with my network. The company benefits.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you so much.